everybody. Well, welcome. We are so excited. We are going to be talking about .NET, of course, agent framework, and if you can believe it, Redis. So Redis has been around forever, but we're going to mix it in with all the great, smarter AI stuff. So my name is Matt Sokup. I work in cloud advocacy, and I am with...
My name is Catherine Wang. I'm a product manager in the Azure Redis team.
Great, and today we're going to talk about Catherine.
So we'll firstly take a look at what is Redis and Azure Redis. We'll introduce the awesome .NET ecosystem for building applications using Redis. And we have prepared 3 fun, interesting scenarios, mostly using Redis together with other Azure services with the hottest technology like MCP and how it seamlessly integrates into the agent framework.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we're going to kind of build on as we go. We're going to start doing with MCP servers, and then we're going to get into getting our data up into Azure. And then all of a sudden, we're going to use Aspire with Redis and just kind of build up a whole agentic flow with it. And yeah, I'm excited. I've seen some of these demos. You showed them to me before, Catherine, and they're mind-blowing because we can bring AI or Redis into the AI world.
And also how Redis works better together with other services in Azure. That's the power of the Azure platform.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. We'll kick it right off and talk about it, the Azure Redis overview before we get into any of the AI specifics too deeply. So there's now what we're calling Azure Managed Redis. So you might have heard of it was Azure Cache for Redis previously. So Azure Managed Redis is what we want to use going forward. And so what that gives you is everything that you know and love about Redis, but everything on top of that for Azure. And so we're going to be talking about things that all the first-party things that Microsoft gives you about Azure, mix that in with Redis. So like if you have trouble with it, like it's not going to happen, but if it happens to go down, that's not on you. That's going to be on Microsoft to get fixed. It's highly available. It scales, and mainly for my purposes, most importantly, it's secure.
Yeah,
right?
Secure by default.
Secure by default. And then not only is it secure, like between when your other applications have to talk to Redis, it's also secure like when we are developing that we can talk to Redis. When I say talk, we can get our applications to go back and forth to Redis. We can do that by using a simple SDK, and we'll hit on that for just a little bit. All right, so that's Redis in Azure. So Redis itself, I learn this every year when we talk about Redis, and I love it. It's called Remote Distributed Server. And that's cool. Redis. All right, got it. So it's in-memory key value pair. And so
Matt, in memory, it means it should be super fast, right?
It should mean it's super fast, and it is super fast. And that's one of the things that we love about Redis. It's cache, right? And so you're not reading from disk to get your data. It's there, like, so you're not pulling it up from a database or like, SQL Server or anything like that. You're just grabbing it, and it's there really quickly. And another thing I love about it, Catherine, is that it holds a bunch of different data types.
You're not important.
Yes, you're not just limited to a key saying like Matt and then what Matt had for breakfast as the value. You can put in things like obviously strings or lists or whole JSON. And this is going to get interesting when we start talking about the new AI capabilities, because we can do things like put in vectors.
Yeah.
And that's going to come into important, and we'll see when we touch on that. Going on.
And also in general, like in .NET, we have the complex object types and so on. So everything like could map so well with what Redis support here.
Yes. So we're not just limited to like numbers and strings. The world is there for us to use.
Yeah. Great.
And so then just a quick little ecosystem for what you can do with .NET. So you're not going to be rolling your own to talk with Redis. The very first thing I want to talk about right up top is that Aspire has great integration with Redis. In fact, just using that line, bar Redis equals builder, add Azure Redis Enterprise and give it a name, that's going to actually spin up and provision an Azure Redis instance in Azure, and it's fast.
Yeah, it's the newly developed Azure Managed Redis that it will provision.
Yeah, and that's actually really cool, and it provisions very quickly. And you use it then just like you would anything else in the Aspire pipeline.
Yeah.
So just like everything else that it's at home and you can just use it. So other things that .NET has with Aspire that will help you use it is we released it in .NET 9, I believe. It was the Microsoft.extensions.caching.hybrid library. So that's a really long name for a very cool library. And what that does, it gives you like one common API. And so what this API does, it gives you 2 levels of caching. So the first level of caching is in memory to the web server, more or less. And so that's really, really, really fast to get out. The second level caching is actually in Redis, which is very fast to get out too. So you have these 2 levels of caching that you can get out. One API to do it, which is nice. And it also has other things like stampede protection. So like not everything can get at it at once, stampede it.
And the most important is very simple to use. Yes. It's abstracted all the boilerplates.
Yes, exactly. There's .NET output caching as well. So one of the things that Redis is great at is, as we mentioned before, you can have many different data types in there. And so like your header or footer HTML, let's put that into the output cache.
Yeah.
And so you can just grab that out, and that's what .NET output caching is all about.
Saves the server utilization.
Exactly. So that's what Redis is. I mean, another great thing that we should always keep in mind, that it really saves us on things of going back and forth, and it saves us costs. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. So you also have like the old one that we might come and know about for a long time is the Stack Exchange.Redis, and that one's been around for a while. But right down the one that we're going to talk about a little bit, and it's actually kind of a little bit mind-blowing, is that it's already there. We just released the agent framework not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and Redis works great with that.
Yeah.
So very cool. And then over on the right-hand side, there's the 2 GitHub links. These are actually, there's the MCP Redis, which is an MCP server, and also the Azure MCP server, which will have Redis integration.
Actually, we already got some awesome Redis integration. Right now it's on the management. You can easily query what resources you have. You can create it and so on. And we're keeping on to add more and fit your developers' need here.
Excellent. All right, so let's start getting near our demos, because that's where we really want to be talking about. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the MCP demo. And so one thing I really want to drive home, and I know you do too, Catherine, is that we're going to talk about caching here. And obviously caching does a couple different points, but we could still use our same caching as we did before, back when we were building web apps. It's kind of still the same as it was before, even though we're building an MCP server.
Yes.
So that's cool. And then there's like semantic routing that we're going to talk about, which is on the client side of the MCP server. So that's going to kind of like cache your tooling, so you can only need to call what you want to do. And then there's also like vector stores that we can use Redis for as well. So that's going to be like your normal, as you're thinking about your RAG type applications. And so you can take a bunch of different, like you have a dictionary, full text of stuff. You can kind of chop that up, make it into a vectors. That way you can get at information semantically a little bit easier.
Yeah, like MCP is a new protocol, but underneath it, all the business logic stays the same.
Yeah.
So allowed to reuse here what worked before should continue to work. And also a little bit into semantic routing. Like for the interest of time, I don't have a demo today, but the idea is when MCP clients talks to the MCP server, one step is the server will return a whole list of tools to be sent to the large language model. So a lot of these tools may not be relevant. So this is the opportunity to apply for some semantic search through the vector search capability in Redis. So we narrow down the list, and a lot of saves cost and improves performance of the whole workflow.
Excellent. Cool. So we're going to jump into a demo next, Catherine.
Yeah. We'll quickly talk about how you can use Redis as a component for building your MCP server. Firstly, this is the Azure managed Redis that we just talked about. You can easily provision it by create here. It's searchable in Azure portal through the services. So today we are talking about MCP using Redis. This is a simple wider API that's behind the MCP. So firstly, let me start it. I'm using Visual Studio Code and the Copilot as the MCP host and MCP client. So now as it's running, let me ask weather forecast. What is the weather in Redmond on November 13th, which is tomorrow? So this is the first round. You see, like the MCP server may take some time to reply. Yes, allow it. That's for security. Everything built in secure. Okay, so here are the information as we executed logic of MCP. Now, if other customers ask the same question, like the weather in Redmond on November 13th, we don't really have to fetch the API over and over again. It's the same weather, and we should be able to reuse a lot of the information here. So you see, this is in this Redis Insight tool, which is a data management tool for Redis instances. You can see a record has been added as we asked the previous question, and we are using a hash data type here with all the information about weather and then the metadata. So if I ask the same or similar questions like show me the weather in Redmond on November 13th, it should quickly return the same information. Still execute MCP because it's cached on the MCP server layer, and you'll see the exact information is showing up again. And all this is powered by the hybrid cache library that Matt just talked about. So we shipped it in .NET 9. It's continuing in .NET 10, continuing to be awesome. You just call this get or create async, which wraps everything. Like you don't have to write any code for caching. This one line of code will make sure all the data is cached and to be reused per the input kick parameter. So it's a very neat design here. Okay, that's it for the weather MCP. The GitHub link is on the slide deck. Back to you, Matt.
Great. And so when we go back to the slide here, we can see the architecture really quick. And what's neat about it is that when, Catherine, as you just showed, we are using the hybrid cache all the time. So that kind of saves us calls over to Azure OpenAI. And when you're using the hybrid cache, that you don't have to learn anything new. So you're building an MCP server, but there's nothing new that you're really learning as far as like the caching goes.
Yeah, just so, wrap everything behind that.
Yeah. So just because it's brand new MCP doesn't mean it's necessarily brand new caching that you have to learn. Cool. So yeah, let's get back to the slides because we have a lot more to talk about. All right, great. So next thing, we want to talk about getting some data up into Redis itself. So I mean, a lot of times when we want to build AI applications, or pretty much all the time, since they are based off of data, we're going to need data up in Redis so we can start doing things with it. And so there's a couple different ways we can go about it right now. The first, and you're going to show this in a couple minutes, is using an Azure function to do it. And one of the cool things about when we just use the Azure functions about it is that we can do pretty much whatever we want to with it, because as we just showed, a lot of the Redis information that we have, or a lot of the Redis tools, everything's the same as when we were building a web application. Like you're used to it already. So you can just, you can build up with the Azure function, you can have all your triggers, you can have all your bindings, and it works as usual. So it's just put it into Redis. You're gonna feel at home, even though you're building an AI app. But there's a couple other toolings that I want to mention. There's the Redis data integration tool, and so you can think of this as something when you're going to hydrate Redis from a persistent data store. So something like SQL Server or similar. So I mean, this is a third-party tool that you can use to pop in data into Redis if you already have it, and you want to do a simple flow up into it. Like Azure function, you can do whatever you want, right? You can write your own custom business logic. Data integration tool, SQL Server, hydrate your Redis. And then there's things like MCP servers as well. So I mean, we can be in Visual Studio or VS Code, and we can say, you know what, I want to have 500 mock data test rows up in a Redis. We can be sitting there in Copilot, and Copilot will do all that for us, get it into Redis by using MCP server. So we don't have to change context at all. So that's another cool use case that we can do with it.
Yeah.
So great. So Catherine, I think our next one is that we're going to show us off how we can use an Azure function to get some data up into Redis.
Yeah, let's go for it. So, this is in Azure portal. I have an Azure function, like you are seeing here, that will get triggered by a blob storage and process this data. Actually, the blob will be in JSON or CSV format and upload all this data into Redis. Azure function is helpful building block because it's like triggered on demand, and you can put all the essential business logic to process the data. So a lot of people, when building intelligent applications, it's like, okay, we know how to do vector search, but how do we get the data in Redis in the first place? Well, this is how. So going into the Azure storage account, I coded this in my application, so it's triggered by a blob in the upload folder. Say sample products, you can see it's a JSON format. You can process your data in like whatever format that suits your business applications need. Let me upload it. And then in Azure function, there's a nice tool in the portal where you can see the function execution real time, which I think we did awesome integration with application insights and other monitoring capabilities. So it may take a little while for things to get piped in. Let me refresh a little bit. We know behind the scene is processing. I'm just looking for that log here. Yeah, so you see everything, it's doing the work, it's been triggered, and it's actually using the manager identity, which makes sure no connection string. Everything's on behalf of the manager identity assigned to the function, and that's how it talks to Redis, storage, and so on. So you see here instantly we got all this information popped up. That's the work, awesome work done by Azure function, and it's very customizable, very scalable. All the information here processed real time. So this is actually production ready, and you can use it for powering your intelligent application as a praise type. Okay, back to you, Matt.
Great. Yeah, and so if we can get the slide back up, we had together a rather complex function to get data up into Redis. And so another thing that we can just take a peek at is function apps are they're scalable, right? They spin up and you can get a lot of power off of them. And there's a lot of event triggers. So like things that go into a block storage will trigger off a function.
We actually have Redis trigger as well.
Have Redis triggers as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what happens is that you can check Redis, or you can go over and if the data might already be in there, or you can go hit Azure Open AI service if the data isn't, to do stuff that you might need to do with the data and put it in Redis. So Redis also has vector similarity searches and so on if the data might be there very fast. So, and you did mention that everything is set up with managed identity. So I just want to reinforce that security first. And so managed identity, real quick, is that you're essentially giving your function app identity in Entra, and you grant that Entra ID access to Redis. And so you don't have to worry about essentially keys any longer. So cool. All right. And so next we're going to talk about kind of putting everything together and using Redis in an Inspire agent, which is actually really cool.
It's powered by Microsoft Agent framework.
And right, exactly. And there's a Agent framework behind it too. So we have a bunch of different concepts coming together, but the concepts are going to be familiar from you if you used it. And I know Agent framework's brand new, but this is you'll like it. You'll like it because it's coming from Microsoft MEAI, extensions for AI, and so we'll talk about it real quickly here. So there's a couple different things I want to point out here that we can use Redis for in this scenario.
That's a long list where Redis is applicable.
It's a long list, and so I'm going to go over them really quick so we have time for the demo here. But you can use it for user sessions. right? So we can pop our username and such in there so it remembers.
Same way as web applications.
Same way as web application, we come back to this over and over again, like you're not having to learn new concepts to build these new fundamental types of applications. You can have your whole chat history pop into Redis super fast to get it back and forth, which is great. Redis is great with vectors, right? And so we can kind of build up our knowledge base, hydrate that in to Redis so we can do RAG type applications there. Semantic caching, we kind of hit on that before. So what that does is that we are going to be able to return, we're not going to have to hit the LLM so often.
Yeah, that's the point. We don't have to hit the LLM endpoint. It's only the embedding endpoint, which is like much cheaper. And then vector similarity search will return the most relevant result for you.
Exactly. So we can almost start thinking of our large language model as the database that we're not hitting anymore because we're caching the return from it.
Exactly. I like that analogy.
Yeah, exactly. And so then we can do the same with distributed caching, like the cache aside pattern that we've all grown to know and love, where you first you put the data into the cache, and then after you grab it, and then it's there for frequently asked data.
Yeah, that's the tools for agent. After all, it has to be doing a functional task, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same data interactions.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, the output caching, right? So this is the same thing as like when you're returning your header and footer for a web application that it's static data and it's not going to change much. Same thing for when you're building this type of application as well.
Yes, as long as you have a UI.
Yes, I mean, if you had a UI, which we happen to be having a UI.
Yeah.
So let's see this, Catherine.
Sure. My demo machine is lighting up here. Okay, so this is the classic Aspire dashboard. You must have seen it a lot of times. Here are all my services. So the chat service is the main like a UI for chat frontend. I have 3 agents here. A main agent, I call it agent workflow service, which is the orchestrator for calling either the FAQ agent or the prod info agent. The FAQ agent is mainly an autonomous functional unit powered by the agent framework, and it does the semantic search to return the exact answer from any supportability questions. And then product info agent is like what large language model doesn't know about, like what are the product descriptions or things I want my users to know. I put this in the knowledge store for the product info agent. So let's take a look. I can easily launch this UI from the Aspire dashboard. This is my little supportability agent. So let me ask, what is your return and refund policy? Sorry. Okay, before we begin, may I have your name, please? It's so classic, like let me know your phone number so I can better serve you. I say, Catherine. Okay, nice meeting you. Okay, how can I help? So noting this information is now cached as a session here. Let me refresh. I think I can see it. Let me get the string type. Yeah, so this is an example, like the sessions cached in Redis. And let's go back. So let me ask the same question. What is your return and refund policy? Let's give it a few seconds to think through. What this does right now is it just did a semantic caching search to get this answer and pour our Redis data here. I preloaded this with the function app I showed you earlier, and these are the semantic caching record. Basically, we match the prompt for frequently asked questions to certain responses that we wanted to return all the times. So large language model does not have to make up the answer over and over again. And if I ask a similar question, like show me your return and refund policy, different people may ask questions like in similar but different ways. You see it's exactly the same answer returned. It's the consistency, it's the performance, cost saving, plus you really want to provide a like coherence experience for your supportability case. Now ask a different question. What is the vendor Pro GPS watch. This is a product that we sell at the Contoso Outdoor. Large language model may not know its exact description, how to use it and so on, because it's a new product we just shipped. Okay, so cool. This is what it finds. And it could even just do a similar search, because customers may not remember exactly what it's called. And all this information is again saved in the product information. We could use the Azure function to pipe all the product information here. So that is a demo, and the code is available on GitHub per Matt's PowerPoint slide.
Great. Yeah, so that's actually a really kind of cool demo, is that we showed like the semantic caching. And so you can ask it in any way that you want, like, yo, how do I return this? And it's going to grab out the information that we had cached.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually really cool that we can do that. And so that's a semantic caching version of it. Okay, so we're just a little bit over time, but I think we covered it all. Those 3 links are the demos that you showed. And to go out, check them out, use them, extend them, put them in your own apps. We're really excited at what you can build with Redis and all the AI greatness that we have out there today.